Hello and welcome to HD Philosophy, the channel where we take some time with the classics to awaken the hidden dragon within all of you. And this is episode 6 of the Gospel Meditations, where I outline and discuss the insights from my family breakfast as we meditate on this week's gospel message. So sit back and relax and enjoy the ranked match as we meditate on 1 Corinthians 9:22 through 27.
Let's go!
To the weak I become weak, to win the weak. I have become all things to all people, so that by all possible means I might save some. I do all of this for the sake of the gospel, that I may share in its blessings. Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize. Everyone who competes in the game goes into strict training. They do it to get a crown that will not last, but we do it to get a crown that will last forever. Therefore, I do not run like someone running aimlessly. I do not fight like a boxer beating the air. No, I strike a blow to my body and make it my slave, so that after I have preached to others, I myself will not be disqualified for the prize. So this week, the pastor really took this message from Corinthians and he focused on picking your win and God's purpose for you. So the first part that he focused on was for the sake of the gospel, And in this way, he was like, choose your win wisely. See, the fact of the matter is, and this is something we discussed, I discussed a lot of this with my daughter, your goals orient you to that which you do for the sake of. So, as the scripture says, I do all of this for the sake of the gospel. And of course, this is Paul right here, right? So it's like your goal, what you choose, the race you choose to enter, becomes that which you do for the sake of. Now, I teach nurses, and I watch as they suffer for this goal, for this win. But what's fascinating is all of their goals orient around the win of trying to become a nurse. They go to school, they go to their DFCs, which is the direct focus client care, which means they get real world experience, and everything, their entire ideology focuses around healing people, being that individual who helps and brings people back into a state of health or flourishing, Same thing when I wanted to be a philosophy professor. I studied hard. My entire room looked like that scene from A Beautiful Mind where I just had note cards plastered on the wall. My walk to school was about a 30 to 45 minute walk, depending on just which side of the school I had to walk to. And I would flip through flashcards out on my way over there, We moved from Hawaii to the mainland for this school. So when I went to graduate school, my entire life became focused around being a philosophy professor, all the way to when I defended my thesis, and then I was, granted my graduate degree, I was a TA the entire time, so right after school, I even took every adjunct position I could so that I would never be removed from teaching philosophy, The point here, though, is that when I chose my race, when I chose my win, everything became oriented to that goal. So when you choose your purpose, you must understand that your purpose determines your wins. Now, I look back on my life and I have no doubt that I was supposed to be a philosophy professor. It made me a better man, a better father, a better husband, a better son. And in education, often what I am told from my students is that I teach with this passion. Some of them join my class just to hear me speak about philosophy. And I don't take that responsibility lightly. I love what I do. But the point here is, if you look at what Paul is saying in Corinthians, everything for him is for the sake of the gospel. So in that way, everything became oriented to the gospel. But what the pastor took it was, you have to be sure that you pick your win wisely. Because, as you see in Corinthians, there is the crown that will not last versus the crown that will last forever. And for this, I had a profound discussion with my daughter in the car. But before that, a little backstory is required here. It was a couple months ago where she kind of told me, she's been going to college and she's been doing really well. She studies hard. She makes sure that she's there on time. She's asking her teachers for extra credit. She's watching YouTube videos when she doesn't know something. She's really doing her best to be the best college student she could be. So again, you notice that the goal of being a college student, her entire life, the races that she has to win, the small little training regiments become oriented to that overall goal. But recently, she talked to me about something that was really hard for her to say. She was like, I'm pretty much going to college for you, Dad. I'm doing well, but the wins just feel shallow. They don't feel like real wins. They feel, and kind of using the words from the sermon today, they feel limited. They feel like the wins are those that really won't last. And then she told me, because what she really wants to do is she wants to be a mother. So don't you find this fascinating? Because this is something I deal with daily with a lot of my nursing students. Not all of them are meant to be nurses. So some of them, not a lot of them, but some of them are meant to be something else. So the race they're in is not the race they're supposed to be in. So the wins that they feel like they're experiencing just had that limitedness to it. And it was the same thing for my daughter. She was winning, but it didn't feel like winning. That's because she was running a race that she wasn't meant to run. It was almost like she was running my race, something she thought I wanted. And she wasn't wrong. I wanted both my son and my daughter to go to college. As a philosopher, I just believe in education when it comes to that which kind of frees you. Because the more knowledge you have, the less you need to rely on someone else. And I always thought about it in this way, because again, I'm a third generation mechanic in addition to being a philosophy professor. And when my car breaks down, I have the requisite knowledge that I need to fix most problems. So I don't need to rely on somebody else's wisdom to fix it. And I kind of took that idea with my child rearing as well. I wanted to instill that knowledge in my children so they didn't have to rely on so many people. So obviously after high school, and both of them graduated early, go to college, get more wisdom, more education. But see, in my daughter's sense, she was running this race that she wasn't meant to run. And it felt hollow. It felt shallow because the aim that she believes God instilled in her was not the aim she was oriented to. So basically, something she and I discussed in the car was that we have to choose our races wisely, because your races dictate your wins. I go even further as a philosophy professor. Your races dictate who you are because your entire life becomes oriented around that goal. That's why I focus a lot on telos, your ultimate aim, your ultimate purpose. But there's something deeper here that she and I kind of stumbled on. The pastor said it is God who provides you with your purpose. And it is God that also grants you the good in our lives. God is the supreme principle of good. There is no good outside of God. God is that North Star. God is the light, Sin is defined as the absence or removing of light. So in that same way, when God provides you a purpose and you have this purpose instilled in you, when you are going towards other purposes that you weren't designed for, they are not wins. God in all of his glory, it's almost like he provides you with these wins because my daughter had to aim at these other things in order for her to discover what she was meant to do. And that's God's beautiful grace right there, right? But also we need to understand that is also the nature of sin right there. We're not doing what we were meant to do. We are aiming in races for limited prizes when really our focus should be on the ultimate prize. And then when we find that ultimate prize, you box with that aim, not striking wind, not striking air, but aiming to be the most competent individual you can be for that ultimate purpose right there, So you could be a business manager, but you're actually supposed to be a nurse, true story. You might be a gym worker, but you're supposed to be a history teacher. And yes, I'm thinking about somebody specific here. Or for my daughter, you're a college student when you're supposed to be a good wife and mother.
Thank you for watching HD Philosophy. Like, share, and subscribe.